Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And today I'll be talking about round one of the college football playoff. And I know I'm a bit late to making this video, but, since it's Christmas break, I've been really, taking time for myself and all that. But this was a great week, or when I say great week, I'm really talking about Miami and Alabama's games. But anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and get into this game. So Alabama versus Oklahoma. This was, dare I say, a top 3 game of the season. I mean, this game was, electric. Once I saw Alabama get down 17-0, I went on my Instagram story, posted a screenshot, and said, yep, the game's over. I said it was over. Once Alabama got in, reminder, they were down 17-0, not even in the first half, in the first quarter, or like the very beginning of the second quarter. And there's really not a lot of talk about what went wrong for Alabama the first quarter or whatever. It's like, nope, there's nothing everything went wrong. They got completely and utterly dominated on every single aspect in the first quarter and beginning of the second quarter. It wasn't the line of scrimmage was completely controlled by Oklahoma. The secondary versus wide receivers, both sides for Oklahoma did better. John Mateer was playing out of his mind. Alabama was looking like they're on track to get beat 64-0. And in the second quarter, it really did all come down to the block punt, or missed punt. It's like, and, Alabama, their defense, they, as terrible as they were playing in the first, they were getting completely diced up. My memory's a bit foggy on this game. I probably should have looked up highlights before this, but if I'm not mistaken, it was, not the block punt, but the dropped punt, which then, did that lead to the touchdown or the field? I think it led to the field goal. But Alabama, so their first drive where they get a touchdown, they put up a nice little drive. I think they went 9 for 75 yards, 4 minutes. It was a good touchdown drive. They punted to Oklahoma. And then, so that was when Oklahoma, because Alabama got the field goal off of the drop punt. That is, and it's just something that Alabama does. I don't know what it is. You can never really be safe when you're up by double digits against Alabama. There's something college football fans need to be expecting is you can't really ever feel safe when Alabama's down by a lot because you already know something is going to happen. Something is going to go extremely wrong for the other team, and then Alabama's going to have some insane play that they get that shouldn't have happened, that is so preventable, yet it goes their way, and you saw it here. It's just, you look at the play, the punter, he gets the ball, and he just drops it. He just drops it. There's nothing else to say. He literally just dropped the ball after he was about to punt it. There's no gimmick to it. It's not like it was a bad snap, or it's not like he bobbled it. Nope, he just dropped it. So he drops that, gets blocked, or gets recovered by Tim Keenan. And Alabama, they get in good field position, so they get a field goal. And then Alabama starts having a ton of momentum, starts swinging their way, right? And so Oklahoma's really kind of feeling the pressure. And then Kane Womack, by the way, I think a lot of people should be giving Kane Womack a lot more credit this season, because the bright spot of Alabama this year has been the defense. And, after that Vanderbilt game from last year, everyone was talking about Kane Womack needs to be gone. Well, this year, he's actually done incredible. And this play, the pick six, was literally because of his play calling. He looked like he had 7 rushing, and then, he had a couple drop backs. So he had a guy drop back, and then Xavier Brown, the defensive back, since, Xavier Brown is there to fill in the gap for where the guy who dropped back was supposed to be. John Mateer, he gets confused by, the coverage, and he just, I think it was also a miscommunication, because the receiver, he kept running up while Xavier Brown came down. He threw it behind it. He must have thought receiver was going to run a curl or something. I don't know. But, so I think it was a miscommunication, and Xavier Brown, I mean, he threw it straight to him. So there's obviously some miscommunication, but it was also an amazing play call by Kane Womack. And that's an easy pick six. And I'm pretty sure that's the second pick six of the year because of the Tennessee game, too. Which, man, Xavier Brown might go down in Alabama history. I mean, that guy, he's been good, but also just those iconic moments were pretty insane. But anyway, so that ties up the game. And going in the second half, I mean, Alabama, they have all of the momentum in the world. They are, oh my gosh. And right off the bat, I mean, Alabama, I mean, I'm not going to say they can, well, yeah, they did basically dominate the second half. They dominated. Outside of that one good drive in like the third quarter, that material, or what was it, early fourth or like late third, that Oklahoma, that one nice touchdown drive. But other than that, I mean, Alabama completely, especially the defense. I mean, they went in the first half from barely even being able to touch Mateer to now, I mean, they're only rushing 4, and now they're getting the quarterback in like 2 seconds. I mean, or maybe short. I mean, they're like getting all these sacks. Pretty sure Alabama had 5 sacks, and all of them were from different players. Just the defense, I don't know what happened in the second half, but the defense just, they turned into like prime 2012 Alabama defense. I mean, I don't know. But so that was obvious. And really just the entire team changed too. Like they just came out with this energy. And, you know, that momentum definitely carried over. And just, again, the way the line of scrimmage was fought for, and it's just insane. And, the other iconic moments, that Jeremy Bernard catch, that was insane. You know, Alabama goes for it. They went for it to tie the game, to get that touchdown, or the first touchdown. But how'd they get those 2 touchdowns in the second half? Well, since it was tied, they got a touchdown, a field goal, right? Because it was 17-17. They scored touchdown 24. They scored 17 in the second half too, because they won 34-24, which is insane. Because I mean, Alabama only had how many rushing yards? Yeah, 28 rushing yards, 2 for 12 on third downs, and they won by double digits. Unbelievable, man. I mean, dang, you got to think, if Alabama, if this is like, they can play this bad and still win by double digits, I mean, you got to be kind of concerned about that. Now, do I think that's going to happen with next week against Indiana? I'm not so sure, but I mean, dang, man, this Alabama team is very resilient, definitely. You know, they didn't play pretty, but, and I guess I got to mention Ty Simpson. You know, he didn't have like the greatest game ever, but he did pretty well. You know, decent completion percentage, you know, took care of the ball and had 2 touchdowns. That's the difference. You know, I'd say the play that really lost Oklahoma the game was the pick six. If Alabama doesn't get that pick six, I mean, it's probably 17-10 going into the second half, you know, and they don't have that huge momentum shift. I mean, that really is what changed the game. Like, the momentum shift completely changed. You know, sure, the punt drop was like annoying, but that play really changed the course of that game. And, you know, again, that one mistake that Oklahoma made cost them the game. And, you know, it's kind of like what happened the first time Alabama played Oklahoma this season. It's like, well, Alabama lost because they made tons and tons of mistakes. Well, guess what happened this time? Oklahoma lost because they made tons of mistakes. I guess anything else to really talk about? I mean, I guess it's really not. I mean, I guess Alabama, again, none of these teams can run the ball very well. You know, oh my gosh. And I don't know how they do it. I mean, you saw like every time Alabama even handed the ball off, I mean, it was just instantaneous, just boom. There was that, oh my gosh, was it? Oh yeah, the Oklahoma kicker missing 2 field goals. That was pretty, I want to say it's surprising. And, you know, what was it? The first one was pretty far right. It was like 50 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Or one of them. Maybe I'm wrong. But the one he did miss, which is the most surprising, was, you know, when Oklahoma, they kick it on 3rd and 10 to get the onside kick, right? And I don't know what it is. I kind of, like, felt it coming. And the reason I say that is, like, it got really quiet. And I don't know. Something in my gut told me, like, something feels off. And then he misses it. But anyway. But to cut it short, Alabama, they did play very well in the second half. They did bounce back a lot. Played off. I mean, again, I don't know how Alabama came back down 17. It's just something about them, man. But I guess I'll go ahead and move on to the next game. Next up, we have Miami and Texas A&M, and this was, I don't really know how to explain this because I'm pretty sure I said going into this game, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew Miami could either win. Like, I thought it was going to be razor thin, but I did not expect it. This is probably the least, like, the outcome I least expected. I mean, oh my gosh, was this an ugly game. I mean, you're talking about some ugly football being played, man. Marcel Reed, there's a period, and I know I've said this a lot. I want to say from the first, 6 weeks, I was a Marcel Reed. I'm like, no, he's not very good. He's overrated. But after the LSU game, I was kind of like, maybe he's actually pretty good. And then after the South Carolina game, I'm like, maybe he's okay, but he's not. It's because I thought. Then the Texas game's like, nope, he's not. I go back to what I thought, in the earlier weeks. He's just, and I know I said this before. I said this when talking about Texas A&M this playoff. He cannot win them a championship. He's just not good enough. He's basically a glorified running back at the quarterback position, and he's like an off-brand Jalen Milroe. I'm going to continue to say it. He's an off-brand Jalen Milroe. I'm not saying he's not necessarily bad per se, but when he plays a good defense like Miami, I mean, you saw what happened. You see the numbers. I mean, he threw the ball 40 times. I mean, compared to Carson Beck, he really didn't do anything. Just took care of the ball, got some yards, and caught it today. Really, the thing what separated Miami's offense from Texas A&M's offense was Miami ran the ball all over them, especially in the second half. I mean, good God. I mean, especially that one play where I keep forgetting the Miami running back's name, but he stiff-armed that one guy for 20 yards. I mean, man, the second half, they just ran the ball all over them. And, I really didn't expect it too much. I didn't expect this game to be so low scoring. I thought, I did say it was a possibility that Marcel Reed does really bad, but I at least thought they would at least have one explosive play, get one big touchdown, but nope. I mean, Miami's defense, man, they are scary. That Rubin guy on the D-line is a freaking he's a monster. He's like the second coming of Nick Farley or whatever. My gosh, he's insane. It's the linebacker secondary. I mean, everything Miami. I mean, their defense is insane. I knew they were good, but I did not think they were going to be that good to where they just hold Texas A&M's offense. I get they're not the greatest passing team, but holding them to 3 points at home, I mean, my gosh. Ugly game, man. And again, the difference was who could run the ball better, and it was Miami. That's literally the main difference. And sure, you could point to where Texas A&M had more passing yards, and it is kind of crazy, dude, because Texas A&M had a longer time of possession. But, I mean, Miami was just the more physical team. They played a bit better in the end, and I don't know. It was an ugly, ugly game. But again, man, this is I thought my prediction range was 20. I'm pretty sure I said it could be 24, 21, maybe high 20s, maybe low 10. I don't know, because I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, man, Miami, they're freaking good, and that's going to be an interesting matchup going into Ohio State. I guess there's really not a lot of place to talk about. I mean, I guess outside of the one play where, it's the final drive of the game for Texas A&M, and this is the best drive they've had all game, and it's towards the last drive that they'll have. And that red zone possession, I really don't get their decision, the decision there to keep trying to throw the ball. I mean, do you trust Marcel Reed to throw the ball to get a game-tying touchdown? I wouldn't think so. You could at least try to do some trick like QB sneak a couple of times, and because I actually think that could have worked, even though it hasn't worked the greatest all game. again, one at like 6 yards. I think if all he has to do is juke out maybe one defender and then like dive forward and get it, like he can do. Like Marcel Reed is athletic enough to get 6 yards on a touchdown. Like maybe do like a guard tackle pull and then send a running back in to block. Like again, they could have drawn up something, but again, you saw what happened once you trusted Marcel Reed with a game-tying touchdown, and it's a pick in the end zone. Also, Miami had that kicker missed like 3 field goals, so it could have been worse, but Miami, they're the better team, and that'll be a very interesting matchup against Ohio State. Next up, I'm really only going to talk about these games for like 30 seconds at most, which is Ole Miss and Tulane and James Madison and Oregon. I said this, before, and a lot of people said this, even though Ole Miss doesn't have Lane Kiffin, they're still going to beat the crap out of Tulane. I said maybe there's a possibility that Tulane, they might adapt and they might keep it close for a little bit, but nope, got demolished. And as for Oregon, James Madison, it was like 31-6 at half. And I get, James Madison surprisingly actually had 22 first downs, like 500 plus yards of offense. So in the second half, they score all these points. And yeah, I get, Oregon pulled their starters. So yeah, there's really not a lot to talk about there. The better teams won. That's really all I got to say. So next, I will also be previewing the upcoming games and these matchups, and I think we'll win, obviously. And now I'll be talking about the Alabama-Indiana game. And I've talked about this game a lot and what it could come down to, but my opinions have changed a little bit. I would not be surprised if Alabama won, based on what we saw, last week and how they just, we didn't expect Alabama to beat Georgia the first time. We didn't expect them to, a lot of people thought Alabama was going to win, but we really didn't expect Alabama to win in the way they did at all against Oklahoma, especially by double digits. So, and this Alabama team, they've been unpredictable this season. They have a terrible rushing attack against most teams, but then against Auburn, one of the best running defenses, they have like 150 yards. Ty Simpson is either on or off, which is not good, but it depends because Oklahoma has a really freaking good defense, about as good as Indiana's, and, it's going to be interesting to see how that Alabama offense matches up against them. Do I think it'll be a good matchup? No. I think based on I have to value consistency, and Indiana's defense has been extremely consistent this season. They've been elite, and Alabama's offense extremely inconsistent, not that good on average. So I got to give that matchup to Indiana because again, I think they insanely outclass Alabama's offense. But I think where it gets interesting is Alabama's defense versus Indiana's offense, because Indiana, they've put up a ton of points this year, but also they've kind of struggled a little bit against good defenses, like Ohio State only scored 13, against who else they played? Penn State. Penn State doesn't really have a good defense. They didn't score. They had to score towards the very end of the game, and I guess they didn't do bad that game, but it really depends if Alabama can, establish their rushing attack, because it's been really bad this year. But against Oklahoma in the second half, you saw how they were rushing forward. They completely controlled that line of scrimmage. And, does Oklahoma have the best offensive line? I don't think so. But, it'll just be – I'll be interested to see how Alabama can get pressure on Mendoza. And I think it'll be a rough matchup, the secondary – Alabama's secondary guarding Indiana's wide receivers because, again, that Indiana coaching staff is really freaking good. They're very hard to stop. And it's going to be interesting to see how Kane Womack can kind of maybe trick Mendoza, maybe give him some coverages he hasn't seen before. They're going to see it because they're going to have film. But, I don't know. Because I could see a reality in which Alabama does win. They get a shocking win because, not to diss on the Big Ten teams, but this will be like Indiana's first matchup versus an SEC school, and, we'll just have to see how they do. But, a lot of people were saying that against Ohio State, Indiana was not going to stand a chance. But because they haven't really played anybody that great up until Ohio State, and they, beat them. The defense plays outstanding. This matchup is it's so weird. But again, I got to value consistency. I got to go with Indiana just because they've been more consistent. But I could see a reality in which Alabama, they get fired up for this game. They have some carried over momentum, and they go out there and beat Indiana. So this is going to be a weird one. I think most people need to keep a lookout on. It's going to be a good one. Next up, we got Ole Miss versus Georgia, and I will continue to say this. This is where Ole Miss's playoff road ends. Even with Lane Kiffin, I still think they lose this game. Georgia's just right now, they're at one of the best spots they've been in this whole season. Great defense. The defense improved by a lot. Gunnar Stockton's still he was a Heisman contender in my opinion. As to how he didn't get invited to New York, I don't know. Georgia's just better, man. And even though Ole Miss is still I'd say this is, it was Lane Kiffin's best team he's had. I just think Georgia's better, so I'm taking Georgia. Next up, we have Miami versus Ohio State. And this, Ohio State's got to watch out. I'll say this. My gosh, the way that Miami looked, their defense did against Texas A&M, they look scary. And I think Ohio State is going to have a huge problem dealing with the Miami's defense. And again, Ohio State has one of the highest caliber offenses, two of the greatest receivers, one of the best running backs, one of the best quarterbacks, an amazing offensive line. But I will say, I think Miami has guys on every position. Miami has a great secondary, a great linebacker group, an amazing defensive line. You saw, and I think Texas A&M has one of the best offensive lines in the country, if not maybe the best. Then maybe them or Ohio State. And they completely dominated them up front. So I think Ohio State's really got to watch out. This is going to be another great matchup, in the trenches. Miami's defensive line versus Ohio State's offensive line. But, man, I expect Julian Sand to get pressure, and I think he's going to be taking some hits this game. And he's going to be forced to make some tough throws, and that might lead to some interceptions because that Miami secondary is also really freaking good. And I don't think Ohio State's really going to run the ball that well. They might get some good passing plays every now and then, but it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it'll be another ugly game. Carson Beck, I think he'll struggle against the Ohio State defense. They're really freaking good, very good up front, very good in the coverage. But with Malachi Tony, and the way we saw Miami run the ball like that on Texas A&M, I think they'll have a bit more success than people might expect. But I still have to go with Ohio State. I trust them just a little bit more just because of all the weapons and the talent and, just position for position, offense to offense, defense to defense. I got to give the edge to Ohio State, and because I think Julian Sand's a better quarterback than Carson Beck. But I think this game will be really freaking close. Score prediction, I think it might be 17-14, 14-10 maybe at the lowest. It's going to be an ugly, close game, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Ohio State. Next up, the final game I'm previewing is Oregon versus Texas Tech. And as y'all might know, in my bracket, I picked Texas Tech to beat Oregon. And now, after that James Madison game, it's intriguing because, again, they did pull the starters in the second half. But this Oregon team, I don't think they're that great. Defense isn't outstanding. Offense can be good at times, but they struggled. This Oregon team hasn't been very consistent. Who has been consistent? Texas Tech. They have beat the same team twice. BYU kept them out of the playoffs and destroyed them both times. There's only one game that Texas Tech did not play good in, which is Arizona State, but literally every other game they have dominated, completely eviscerated every other team. And I think on both sides of the ball, I think Oregon gets a little outmatched. I mean, I think Oregon is going to have a rough day on offense. Texas Tech's defense is pretty freaking good. Oregon's defense is really going to have a rough time with Texas Tech's offense, especially. They have an explosive offense. That quarterback is really good at Texas Tech. Some of their receivers are. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough day for Oregon. I think Texas Tech will play more physical, and I just think that, I don't know, they're going to have like this energy that I think Oregon doesn't have. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech here. I'm going to keep my decision as that. But if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and I will be previewing the next round whenever that is soon.